Welcome to another Carolina Panthers football chatter, everybody. It is early, so I am speaking a little more quietly this morning so I don't wake up my family because it is, what time is it? It is 6:16 on a Sunday morning on the West Coast. But yeah, we're here. Hopefully it's around 9:16 on the East Coast. But yeah, excited to be here, excited to talk Carolina Panthers, excited to do all the things, man. What a week it's been for the Panthers. What a week it has been in the NFL with free agency. Just a ridiculous week in terms of the kind of week that we have had. Man, just a phenomenal week, everybody. Just a phenomenal week. Excited to get into it, to talk about all the things. I thought we could start by watching the real ball watcher, who I really like, but just an absolute, just a hell of a week for the Carolina Panthers. Let me see if it'll let me share this. Man, oh man. Hope y'all had a good week. And yeah, we're just gonna get right into it, fam. This is what we do over here. All right.
Get that man a statue. Get that man a statue outside the bank. We ain't gonna waste no time with all that BS. We grading the free agency grades. I did this live stream with One Carolina yesterday, last night. We talked about a lot of free agent additions, but we ain't talk about this one that just dropped probably about 20 minutes ago. So that's why I'm hyped. I'm live. This is live reaction. But if you want to see other reactions, a little bit more detailed intel into those additions, go watch that One Carolina screen. Just type that in on YouTube. Go to his live tab. It's the last one. It was about a 3-hour and 30-minute pod. We wasn't playing because that's how much he been cooking. But without further ado, let's get into these free agency grades, man. Let's talk about why Dan deserves his statue. If you like the video, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. Hype if you're on mobile. Share. Go to the Patreon, patreon.com/TheRealBallWatcher. Watch those evals I got. And let's get into this video.
His Patreon is really, really good. Y'all should go to his Patreon, check it out, because he's got evaluations on all of the players, and he also writes for not Panthers Wire, but whatever the other one is, Cat Crave. But yeah, go follow his stuff. He's phenomenal.
What if instead of designing thumbnails, you could just paste your YouTube link into our AI and it would create scroll stop?
Let's not waste no time with this first one, man. Jalen Phillips. I feel like this is our best signing, period. Hear me when I say this. Maybe not our best value-wise, but the best player we signed. This guy's 26 years old. He is an elite pressure getter. He gets to the quarterback. That's somebody we need overly bad. I want to say freshman, his rookie year in the NFL, he had, 43 or something around there pressures. I'll put it up on the screen if I'm incorrect. And I want to say 8.5 sacks as a rookie. Mind you, he was drafted as 18th overall pick. He was coming in as an elite player that just had injury concerns. So that'll explain this grade. But because I want to say when he was at UCLA, he started at UCLA. He had to medically retire because of concussions. Then he went to Miami, got cleared by those doctors, played himself into being still a first-round pick with those concerns, came in the league.
I definitely did not know that he had to medically retire. I'm going to have to look that up. Also, another Southern California guy, West Coast. But yeah, I did not know that they essentially forced him to medically retire.
40-something pressures, 8.5 sacks. Second year, he starts to break out. 74 pressures, which is 9th in the NFL according to NFL Pro. Then I want to say he still has 7 sacks or 7.5 sacks, one of those two. Next year, he's breaking out. I want to say he only played 5 games. Hear me when I say this. 5 games. He had 6.5 sacks in those 5 games. He tore his Achilles. We all saw the little edits from Hard Knocks where he starts crying. He's like, damn, I was hooping. I was really hooping, bro. We all saw that he actually was hooping. It reminds me of Aiden Hutchinson when he broke his leg, I want to say last year or 2 years ago, when he had like 10 sacks in like 6 games or 7 games. That was the type of breakout he had. So we really just need to see him be healthy. Next year, he tore his ACL on a freak accident because his teammate ran into his knee. So we just needed a full healthy season. And in this full healthy season between Miami and Philly, because he got traded at the deadline for a 3rd-round pick, he got a 63 pressures, which is 11th in the NFL, and only 5 sacks, but it was a lot of missed sacks. But hear me when I say this. 26 years old. Remember when Brian Burns hit the market? He was 25 years old. Everybody was complaining about his sack numbers. He hasn't got 10 sacks but one time. He always gets 8 sacks, 7 sacks. We don't need that. And now he's taken the second step, that next step, because he was a 25-year-old when he hit the market. He finished his rookie contract, and there was still room for him to grow because he's so young. He was entering his prime. And that's what it is.
Y'all got to remember, so Howie sends a third to Miami for him, right? So Howie sends a third-round pick to Miami, gets a third-rounder back. So he sends a third-rounder to Miami, gets a so I mean the Eagles are getting something out of it. The Eagles are getting something good out of this because they're essentially getting a comp pick out of this. So the Philadelphia Eagles are getting a comp pick out of Jaden Phillips.
Right here with Jalen Phillips. He's 26 years old. He's entering his prime. He's only had 3 full years of actual play. So everybody talks about it. Playing and getting reps is your best practice. That's going to help you improve the most. He's only had 3 full seasons, so there's still room there. That's how Brian Burns goes from 7 to 8 sacks a year to second in the league with 16 and a half this season. That's why I got to give this an A-. I know I just did all that gassing just to say an A-. I do have to note the injury concerns. It's 4 years, $120 million. Only.
I love that he doesn't necessarily talk about the overpay because, like we've said, Ben Solak and Mina Kimes talked about this. Every edge got overpaid. Every single edge in this market got overpaid. There's not an edge. Owe got overpaid. Mafe got overpaid. Phillips got overpaid. So there's not an edge that did not get overpaid according to market.
Only 80 of it is guaranteed. I really wanted to be transparent. I wanted to wait to do this video until I got all the contract numbers, but they refused to drop. And then this last signing just got me so lit. I said, I got to get in front of a camera. I can't hold back. But the A- is simply because of injury concerns. If there was no injury concerns, this would be an A. Not an A++ because it's not great value or anything, but this would be an A. This is just paying a player what he's worth or eventually what he's going to be worth with potential. But because of the injury risk with the Achilles, with the ACL, with the concussions from college, I'm counting that in, you have to bump it down just to an A-. Don't kill me. This is my favorite signing. I was about to go buy a jersey today.
Everybody was talking about how the Devin Lloyd signing is a better signing. I actually think the Jaden Phillips signing is a better signing. And the reason to me it's a better signing is because he is the things that Phillips is going to allow this defense to do is going to be insane. And if you study Vic Fangio edges and what they do, they don't just rush the passer. They drop into coverage. They stunt. They do different creative things. And I think that he's going to allow, for a lot of different things to happen. So
it just wasn't ready at the stadium. So I love Jalen Phillips. You should love Jalen Phillips. We will be doing a full video breakdown of what he brings to the Panthers probably next week because that's how high I am on him. So y'all can see what I'm trying to get across in this video. Moving on to the next signing. Next one. This is one that I was a little pessimistic on going into the offseason, but Devin Lloyd, 3 years, $45 million, only $25 million guaranteed. 28-year-old player just entered his prime, and this is what I mean. Think about Devin Lloyd in his age 26 season. He's 28 now. Or about to turn 28 next year, or like in May or something crazy. But think of his age 26 season. He wasn't what we saw last year. He stepped into his prime in his age 27 season, as we see, and was one of the best linebackers in the league. I will always say that he was one of the best linebackers in the league.
One of the concerns with Devin Lloyd is that he didn't get extended on his 5th-year contract. So a lot of people, like a lot of national media people, are saying, well, how good is he really if Jacksonville didn't extend him? But I mean, I don't care. I don't care if Jacksonville extended him or not. Jacksonville also, before Liam Cohen and James Gladstone came, had a history of making really bad decisions. So I'm not as concerned about that, if you want my opinion on that.
Maybe it has something to do with the scheme change, which was what I was a little apprehensive about. I was scared because in the 3-4, he was just a decent to good linebacker. depending on what year you look at. Then they switched to a more 4-2-5, 4-3, more of those things, more even fronts. And I'm like, he broke out. He was one of the best linebackers, but we don't run that. So, but it could have been him going from a 26, 25, and 24-year-old as a rookie, sophomore, and then junior year player or third year player. And then in that fourth or fifth year, whatever year this is, he breaks out once he hits 27. That's what I'm saying about Jalen Phillips. But let's look at Devin Lloyd, man. $15 million a year is probably going to be a lot less because of the guarantees. It's only 25. Dog, I was so afraid that we would pay him, or somebody in general would pay him $20 million or more. That's Fred Warner money.
The rhetoric around these signings is that Phillips was probably an overpay and that Lloyd was probably an underpay. And I still think that stands. I still think that stands, that Phillips was an overpay. But like, it sounds like he wanted $20 million. And he didn't get that. So Dana Morgan stood on business essentially and said, no, we're not going to give you that amount of money. We don't have that money to give you. And B, we're not just going to allow you to be able to just give you a bunch of money. So yeah, I'm very fine with that.
Money. Nobody should touch that but Fred Warner. But because the free agency class is so deep, because the draft class is so deep, we got this guy on a...
Watch how this tiny thing removes all mold from my musty basement in just 48 hours.
Again. And for that, I really do have to give this an A+. An A+. You got the best linebacker in the class for probably a cheaper contract than the Chiefs signed Nick Bolton on. Like, he's getting 15 a year, but depending on the guarantees, Devin Lloyd might be getting a little bit less. I got to give you an A for this. Probably the second best or best linebacker once Fred Warner went down last season. He's going to be getting paid like the fourth or fifth.
I think what's really interesting is my concern with this signing was that Lloyd was going to be asking for $20 million. And clearly that's not what the Panthers gave him. Like, the Panthers did not give him $20 million. The Panthers gave him around $15 million, which, I mean, I don't care if you listen to ESPN, to The Athletic, to whoever you're listening to, that is below market value for Devin Lloyd. Everybody was thinking that he would get like $18, $19 million.
Best linebacker. I got to give that an A+. That's what A+s are for. He just brings great coverage. He does miss a lot of tackles. I will say that he has, I want to say, a high missed tackle percentage. I do have to say that, but great coverage. He was great in run defense last year. He was just, his eyes and diagnostics were so good. The game is beginning to slow down for him. And we needed somebody like that in the middle of our defense. We know we've been talking about Jacob Rodriguez and other rookies and all that who do that. Sonny Styles video is up, so y'all can go see what I mean by that diagnostic. Having somebody like Devin Lloyd to do that is elite. So I got to give it an A+. Dan Morgan, give me a play, brother, because you cooking. Let's get into the next player. All right, before we get into the big fish that made me hop on this video, I do want to talk about Luke Fortner. 1 year, $4 million deal. I love this. This is a low, what is it? As I said this before, low risk, high reward signing. I messed it up last time. Low risk, high reward signing. One year, $4 million. He was a 4-year starter for Jacksonville. In 3 of those years, he was really, really good. Understand that. Last year, his contract year, he was bad. So I wanted to pay him. He went to the Saints, was a backup for the Saints. Came in, I want to say, in week 10 or something like that when Eric McCoy went down, and he hooped for the Saints. I want to say it was a 68 PFF grade. Let me check for you. Yeah, so a 66.5 PFF grade, 72.5 pass blocking grade, 65.3 run blocking grade. He played 678 snaps last season. He only allowed, let me not say only allowed, because this is a decent amount of sacks as a center, but 3 sacks last season, but only 11 pressures, which is the 8th lowest in the NFL for centers. Only 11 pressures in 678 snaps. That's pretty good. I won't say elite, but that's pretty good. That's an elite number, but I don't want y'all to think I'm calling him elite. They had 3 penalties last year. And look, I watched the tape against LA. I watched the tape against us, and I watched the tape against the Bucs. I watched a couple other games, but those are the first 3 I watched. So I want to see what it looked like against the Derrick Brown, Vita Vea, Kobe Turner, and what's the other guy from the Rams? Can't think of his name off the top of my head. Braden Fisk. I want to see what he looked like against these elite pass rushing and run stopping DTs. And I'll say he was moving Derrick Brown off the spot in those combo blocks. He's really good as a combo blocker, really good working up to the second level, chipping in and getting up to the second level, but also so good at identifying and passing off stunts. And that was with horrible guards next to him, and Trevor Penning and Cesar Ruiz. Now he's going to have an all-pro caliber guard in Damian Lewis, and a Pro Bowl to pretty good caliber guard in Robert Hunt.
So once again, what Brandon Thorne said about Walker is that he is not a foundational piece. So Walker is not a foundational piece, but he is a complementary piece. And I think that's important to know. Like, he is a complementary piece to an offense that that needs, but he's never going to be the guy, right? Like, he's not going to be that guy that's like, oh yeah, like no one is, there's going to be competition against him that is better than him, that will find a way to expose him. I think that's really what that means. There's going to be left tackles that expose him, but 70 to 80% of the time, he's going to be fine. And I think we just have to be real about who he is. We just got to be real about who he is.
Or if Robert Hunt goes down again, we've seen how great Brady Christensen was if we sign Brady Christensen back. I don't want to get too ahead of us. But his stunts and passing off stunts and identifying blitzes and all those are going to be even better next to better players. So I love this low-risk, high-reward signing for Luke Fortner, 1 year, $4 million. I got to give this an A. Nothing crazy because he hasn't been a starter in, a year? So I'll just give it an A. I ain't going to go crazy, even though I feel like I want to say an A+, but we ain't going to glaze too much. Now let's get into the next one. Bang! Bang, baby! This is what statues are made of. This is what statues are made of. We had to take down the Jerry Richardson one, but hey, let me start this now. I'm going to start a petition. And you think I'm playing? I'm going to really put a petition in the comments below to build Dan Morgan a statue. Simple as that. Shore up your needs so you can go BPA. It don't matter no more what we need. It don't matter. We will survive. Now we can just go get high impact rookies like a Teteroa McMillan, like a Nick Scorton, guys that fall in the second round. Dang, how is he there? You trade up and you go get.
You should get life insurance because you never know. My dad has never been in better shape. Lost weight, exercising every day, and he had to
get those guys. Even if they're not in need, you just, hey, how was this guy here? Oh wow, Caleb Banks broke his foot. He's not gonna be ready till June. He didn't play this whole last season. Caleb Banks is sitting there at 44 or 43. You go up and go get a guy like that because you don't have too many needs.
Honestly,
where you could just go be.
Honestly, Caleb Banks, I've been out on Caleb Banks in the first round pretty much this whole process. I think he's got a little Shamar Stewart to him. But if Caleb Banks is going to keep dropping and be available in the second round, like, I'm okay with just turning that card in. I'm good with that.
Hey, and that's what Rasheed Walker does for you, man. I put up a post, Rasheed Walker versus Akeem Ekwonu stats. I'm going to put it up for y'all. So basically, in 986 snaps or 572 pass blocking snaps for Rasheed Walker, he had 9 penalties, 5 sacks allowed, 1 QB hit allowed, which is great. He was fifth lowest in the league. 34 total pressures. Akeem Ekwonu last season in 942 snaps, less snaps, but also less pass blocking snaps at 550, 22 less snaps. 7 penalties. That's a little bit less than Rasheed Walker, but on par basically. 5 sacks allowed. Both of those guys are even. 6 QB hits compared to 1, and 40 pressures allowed compared to 34. I'm not saying Rasheed Walker is so much better. He's going to be a crazy upgrade. My point is, there is not a huge drop-off. And that's what the fear was going into this season, that there would be a huge drop-off at the left tackle, and that could derail the season. So now you're forced to take one at 19 because you can't go out there with the guy that's later on in this list. We will talk about those too. That's later on in this list. You can't go out there with him starting, especially after Yash retired. I thought they panic signed. Yash retired. Damn. We got to go get us somebody. You go get Boo Boo the Fool over there. Well, let me not disrespect him. Shout out to him. But That's not the case. Dan Morgan was in the cook. He was cooking. He was in the kitchen cooking. Water whipping work. He was working wrist. Yeah. Come on, man. I ain't gonna lie. I think Dan Morgan might have to be an honorary Migo. He might have to be the fourth Migo because this guy, what he does with a Pyrex and a spoon, it's illegal in some states. This guy is cooking in that front office. This is what statues are made of. This is brass. And we're going to get us a trophy soon. I ain't going to lie. I hate to be that guy to get super hyped, but we are never getting guys like this for this low. I don't even know what the cap hit is, but the fact that it is a max of $10 million. Even if we paid him $10 million, that's a steal. But it's $10 million. If he hits his incentives, dog, I'm gonna give you the grade. This got to be an A plus 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 34 more pluses. A plus times 36. A plus 36 squared to the power 36 power, whatever you call it. Dan Morgan, get that man a statue. Get that man a statue. Let's move on to the next one, baby. All right, we can kind of cool off a little bit. John Mechie, 1-year deal. I do love John Mechie because. Not because I think he's going to be this high-impact player. He's taking Excel's job. He's going to be wide receiver 2. He has such this great connection with Bryce. Even though chemistry.
I've got thoughts on Mechie, by the way. And my thoughts are that he's fine and that he is going to compete with Jimmy Horn for the – like he and Jimmy Horn will be competing for a spot on the team. But all this talk of Xavier Legette not having a spot, nah. You got to remember, as bad as Xavier has been, Dave Canales is motivated. As bad as Xavier has been, Dave Canales is motivated to make it work. So I don't, all of this talk of like Mechie being better than Xavier. Come on now.
What Bryce does play into it. We see with XL, somebody who can't get on the same page with him. Might be somewhat talented, super talented, but can't get on the same page, can't produce. So this may help, but I just like John Mechie because he provides something we don't have. He provides a quick separator underneath, somebody who can just get open quick, get open fast. Coker, I love Coker, love T-Mac. That's not their game. That's not their game. They're bigger body possession. T-Mac, he has some yak to him, bigger body yak receiver. Coker is more of a bigger body possession receiver, really technical route runner, but not these explosive, shifty athletes. John Mechie is that underneath shifty athlete, but not only that, he can provide you some yak after the catch. We've been missing. I've been talking about it for 3 years now. However long I've had this channel, 2 or 3 years. We don't have anybody that can run once they catch the ball. Like every time we catch the ball, it's downed right there. So now if things aren't open downfield for Bryce, you can just dump it down to somebody that's separated quickly underneath, and he can go get you some yards after the catch. That's why I love that with John Mechie. Also, I don't know if he'll start or anything, but if somebody goes down, that chemistry with Bryce, even if he's not the best player in the world, that chemistry with Bryce, plus that added element of we don't have anybody like this on the team, except for maybe Jimmy Horn. We just didn't get to see it much last year. Some people say it'll be the chemistry also with them, but this guy has the chemistry. So he just, if somebody goes down, XL goes down, Jalen Coker goes down, God forbid, instead of having to step in with Bryson Tremaine and Hunter Renfrow and just guys, you'll have a John Mechie who's still a young, kind of somewhat upside guy that has chemistry with your quarterback. So I like this. Let's not forget he was a 2nd or 3rd round pick. The cancer stuff set him back. He just got caught behind the depth chart because of that after missing a full year. I like the John Mechie signing. I'm going to give this a B. Nothing crazy.
Need a key fob? Don't go to the dealer. Keyless Entry Remote Ink has you covered. We sell
great value, though.
Panthers Twitter was crashing out about him being like the second coming of what's his name? Ted Ginn Jr. He is not Ted Ginn Jr., and I would not expect him to be Ted Ginn Jr. either.
It is like a $1 million contract or a $2 million contract with only $500K or $1 million guaranteed. It's basically a vet minimum. I love this. Get your QB a guy that he got chemistry with in the room. Hey, let's move on. Let's not talk too long about John Mechie. All right, we can wrap these two up together. Big F. Big F's. F's in the chat, baby. Woo, throw the F's up. Is that an F? I'm doing my fingers. Y'all see what I'm doing? Or is it like this? Which way is it for y'all? Yeah, this is an F. Kenny Pickett and Stone Forsythe Kenny Pickett, a little disappointed. Based off what they said, they wanted a mobile guy that they could develop behind Bryce, maybe a little high ceiling guy. I don't see the ceiling with Kenny Pickett. I feel like if you want a high ceiling guy, you go get a big armed mobile quarterback. It didn't even have to be like a older guy, but you go get a Trey Lance. You go get a Zach Wilson. You go get a maybe even I don't know. Justin Fields ain't that good. Like we kind of know what he is now. But even if you got a Justin Fields, at least it provides you some type of upside with something different than Bryce brings, and something that you can actually like mold behind Bryce and develop maybe. Yeah, Kenny Pickett ain't that simple as that. Small arm, small hands. I guess he has some mobility, more mobility than Andy Dalton. I guess that's cool, but like it's not like you can build a running offense. That's the thing. If Bryce goes down, God forbid, if Bryce goes down, the season's over anyway. But hey, you saw it last year.
Those are facts. It doesn't really matter who the Panthers bring in as a backup. We saw all of the Bryce doesn't have it crew. We saw how limiting anybody is in that position, right?
One game out, we just got the doors blown off of us. But let's say if you go get a Justin Fields or somebody like Zach Wilson or Trey Lance, at least you can turn into like the wing T offense and be run heavy and throw something at the defense they aren't expecting to only throw it like 15 times that game on some crazy stuff. But yeah, that's a F. Stone Forsythe, this is like one of the worst players in the league. Terrible pass blocker. He allowed, I want to say 12 sacks last season, which is like first or third in the league. Something crazy.
I love y'all. I love y'all so much, but y'all had a straight up crash out about Stone Forsythe. I love y'all more than you know, but Forsythe made y'all crash out real hard. Even people that I love and trust in this space, y'all were crashing out. And I was like, guys, do y'all really think Dane Morgan is going to roll out with Stone Forsythe at left tackle? Like it, y'all just crashed out hard. Y'all crashed out hard.
If this guy sees the field, we're in trouble. But I will say they only gave him they gave him a vet minimum. This could be a camp body that gets cut before the season starts. So it's not even, now that we have Rasheed Walker, I don't even have much to say about this. If you want to see what I really had to say when it was just him, go watch me on One Carolina stream last night. But yeah, camp body guy. So yeah, let's move on. Let's not even talk about him too much. All right, man. I hope I didn't miss nobody. I hope they don't sign nobody while I'm recording this or while I'm editing and it's too late. I can't add to it because this is coming out Saturday morning. Maybe even Friday night if I can get it edited fast enough. But overall, I got to give Dan Morgan an A. I got to give Dan an A, bro. Like, it's just so crazy how good he did. Seriously, let's look at the PFF.
I'm very much looking forward to I'm excited to see what all the national media, you know how they do like after free agency or after the draft or after whatever, they're like, who were the best signings, right? Or who were the best, and guys, I'm sorry if I'm having to speak low. Like it is very early here on the West Coast and I'm trying not to wake up the family. But yeah, it is any list that doesn't have Dan Morgan in the top 5 to me, I do not understand.
PFF grades. I'm going to pull those up for you right quick so we can see that. All right, let's wrap this up with how the lineup looks after all of these signings. So let's look at the offense. We have a 64.6 from Rasheed Walker being added to this 66.5 with our guy, Luke Fortner. Nobody else was really added on the offense, but that did bump us to a 63.9 overall with PFF.
Here's the pen that erases scratches instantly. Look, no cut, no Photoshop.
It's already in the 70s. Imagine if we go BPA. Imagine if you throw in a Jordan Tyson, throw in a Mekhi Lemon, throw in a Kenyon Sadiq, throw in a somebody that just some explosiveness. You just take the best player in your lap, and it so happened to be an offensive player. And now they're like, wow, the Panthers wide receiver core, the Panthers weapons are just overpowered. We're already knocking on the door at 70 there. Imagine if we get another T-Mac, right? we get another rookie receiver or rookie weapon that's a T-Mac with this 79.3, that could boost us into the 70s, 80s. Because we talked about how the QB and all the other players and Jonathan Brooks going to be back too. Oh my God, I don't have no PFF numbers for Jonathan Brooks, but 2.5 now. 2.5 now.
I'm trying to really calm down on my excitement about Jonathan Brooks because to me, outside of, I mean, this is a weak running back class, right? Like we all know that after Love, whether it's Coleman, whether it's Washington, whether it's whoever is, like Jonathan Brooks would have been better than any of those guys, and it's not really close. But yeah, like I'm very, very, very excited about what Jonathan Brooks is going to be. I'm also trying to level set expectations because he is coming back from back-to-back knee injuries. I think on the same leg. Somebody in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that it's in the same leg. So, but like I'm very excited by Jonathan Brooks. And I think people are forgetting from a prospect perspective how good he is. Like Jonathan Brooks would be better than Coleman. He'd be better than Washington. He'd be better than any of those guys.
We'll be back. I'm not going to get too excited, but goddamn, I'm excited. Damn, Morgan, this is what statues are made of. Thank you. Let's get into the defense, baby. Let's get into the defense. All right, looking at the defense, adding a 74.2 from Jalen Phillips, also adding a 88.4, the highest PFF mark on this team, either side of the ball. An 88.4 from Devin Lloyd. Oh, elite. Third highest PFF linebacker in the database. That bumps this defense to a 65.7. Now, looking at this defense, the biggest need for me is we need Tershawn Ward.
JC Horn getting a 58.5 is crazy. Like, let's be real about it. JC Horn getting a, let's go back and look at it. JC Horn getting a 58.5 from PFF. So just to be clear, they have Mike Jackson at an 83.5. So Lathan Ransom has a higher grade. That's not right. I'm sorry. That's not right. I can't co-sign that.
Or from Devin Lloyd. Oh, elite. Third highest PFF linebacker in the database. That bumps this defense to a 65.7. Now, looking at this defense, the biggest need for me is we need Tershawn Wharton to either be healthy and play higher than this 43.0, because that's the lowest rating on the starting lineup for both sides of the ball. Get healthy and play better, or get an upgrade. Get you a Caleb Banks or somebody like that on the inside who could be a pass rusher and win one-on-one with Jalen Phillips. We'll talk about that next week. Trust. If you watch the One Carolina stream, you're probably going to put a clip up also. You already know what I'm kind of getting to, but trust. Also, safety. We got to find a safety that can cover. Lathan Ransom, not a cover guy, but I do love him as a roll down, maybe big nickel, big enforcer guy. But unfortunately, that's the same thing Trayvon Merrick does, and Merrick does it better right now. So we got to go get us a safety that can cover, whether it's free agency or in the draft. Go get you a guy like that. And also, Trevin Wallace, we can upgrade from him for sure. I would hope that we upgrade from him because the linebacker class is so deep and Devin Lloyd is 28. That cliff can come real fast. Go talk to Raven fans about Roquan Smith right now. And he's 28. He's the same age as Devin Lloyd. That cliff, it comes at you fast, baby. But yeah, those are the main spots I can see us upgrading on defense. Also, looking at the weak spots on offense, it should be pretty obvious. Dynamicism from the backfield, but hopefully Jonathan Brooks fixed that. I have faith that he can fix that and will fix that, being able to break tackles, catch passes out of the backfield, get big plays, springy big plays. We know what Jonathan Brooks does. Let's move on. And that wide receiver 3 spot is probably the biggest need. 52.0 is not going to cut it from XL this season. No. It's not. We added John Mechie. David Moore's healthy. Jimmy Horn's going into
This
his
is
second
it for
year. I
XL.
expect if they really are going BPA, which they really are going BPA, and Dan has been quoted saying at
Let's call a spade a spade. This is it for XL. Like if XL doesn't figure it out, it's over. And I'm not willing to like move off of him the way some of y'all are. Like I'm still willing to give him more of a chance, but this is it for Xavier Legette. You have got to get your stuff figured out. And if you don't, it is time to move on. This, to me, this is Xavier Legette. This is it for you.
at the combine, if BPA is a wide receiver, we're going wide receiver. So be it. So XL gonna have to, or Xavier, sorry, Xavier's gonna have to find a way. Simple as that. And then the last spot on offense that I would say is kind of something is a weakness, or we could add to it. Tight end. We got some young tight ends that we can maybe develop, but we still need some dynamicism and tackle breaking from somewhere in the wide receiver core or the tight end room. One of them. Maybe it's a Kenyon Sadiq. So, yeah, man, 69.3 for the offense, 65.7 for the defense. Both of those are closing in on 70. If the offense can get to mid to high 70s, maybe even 80, ooh, and that defense can climb to 70, low 70s, mid 70s, or maybe even higher, ooh, it's scary, baby. But this been the Real Ball Watcher, Dan Morgan. Understand me. You are good in my city. You are good in my city. I don't think Dan Morgan should have to pay for a drink again. If I see Dan Morgan out, I don't care what he's doing. I'm paying for it. If he's paying the parking meter, guess who pulling out their car? If he's getting the scotch on the rocks, guess who pulling out that Capital One? Me.
That's very funny.
Looks like you're getting a $3,200 refund.
Did she mention that at H&R Block, everyone gets their max refund or their money back?
And we always guarantee
100% accuracy on every return.
You had me at max refund.
Switch to H&R Block and get 100% accuracy and your max refund guaranteed.
The Senior Bowl was on, and so I stopped and I watched it, and he came in.
Oh, this is from a while ago.
Don't overthink it.
Enough if you assume that him on the field
above your peers.
That's it.
So, I mean, there are a couple other draft things that we could touch on before we hop back to free agency. Nate, have you seen that, like, both Matt Miller and Todd McShay?
So Nate Tice to me is one of the best evaluators in the game. Like I don't necessarily think it's that close. He was the one that said that Drake May was phenomenal. He was the one that said that Tedero McMillan was really good. He was the one that said that Shamar Stewart is really good. So to me, he's not the end all be all, but he's somebody I listen to. And he has, once again, he's at Yahoo 301. He said, by the way, last year, he said that Tedero McMillan was his second ranked player. So I'm going to listen to when he talks. Now, is he perfect? No. Does he have everything figured out? No. But whenever he puts his big board up, I listen.
Have Jeremiah Love at number 1 on their board, and they're like, we understand the positional value of pass rushers and stuff, but we just think he's the best football player in the draft. Does that does that say more about the draft or about Jeremiah Love? And is there like a team that you think would make sense for him? Because it's a weird draft where there were like between 9 and 14, even I don't know if he'll be on the board at that point. There were like 5 teams that were near the top of Super Bowl odds last year that ended up in the top half of this first round.
And it's funny because it's not the most top end draft heavy. You know, it's not a lot of blue chips, a lot more green chips, as I like to call them. No, I have Jeremiah Love. I think on my next big board, he'll be 3 or 4. So I'm not like, oh my God, that's the craziest thing. And I understand running back value, but the thing is with running back value, as we're seeing, it's not that like the whole running backs don't matter conversation, but it kind of got just taken and bastardized. It's more that the replacement level for them got so high. Like just what an average back got so much better than 20 years ago because most of them can catch and pass protect now. And so I think now though, a good back is still a good back. And can you play for 30 plus snaps a game, 40 plus snaps? Can you pass protect? Can you receive? And to me, can you take the ball to the house? And Love does all that. So that's to me why I'm comfortable. And in this draft class, so to your question too, is that, yeah, that's a little bit indicative of this class, that there's not a bunch of blue chip tackles. All the edge guys have a little bit some iffy with them, or you got some tweener types like Reese. To me, it's Reese and Mendoza. I have 1, 2. Reese, Mendoza, Love. But I do think that that's a little bit of that, but he is one of those guys that like in any type of class, he'll be in the top 12 as far as just big boards.
It's that explosive play ability for me that I think is hugely valuable. It reminds me, it kind of makes me feel like a bit of a cycle where we've gone, and it was Saquon Barkley that did it a couple years ago that reminded us that, like,
once again, if Jeremiah Love is available at 19, I don't care. Like, I don't care what you're doing. You just you turn in that card as soon as possible. That's how I feel about Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs, and Sonny Styles. I don't care where they're at. You just do it.
You know what? The best team you've ever played for, it was that Pop Warner team that you played for that had the running back that nobody could tackle. Like, it's a low risk play that has high reward. And if you can create that situation in NFL, you need a combination of good pass protection and a really explosive running back. And you would say sometimes that is having talented receivers helps, but honestly, I feel like you're more prone to get an explosive play from a loaded box than from high coverage. So like there is this special type of back that I think we hoped that Ashton Genty would be, and maybe he still will become, but a special type of back where I'm like, look, I get it. They may not be worth it for 10 years. And you may be able to get someone who is like average is just as high or pretty close. But the idea that you can hand someone the ball and the result is going to be 3 yards. So you're looking at 2nd and 7 or 60 yards. And you're looking at a touchdown, and it's a great play because otherwise you're looking at incomplete pass or touchdown for your explosive plays. It's such I feel like a missed part of the calculation when you have a guy, and that's what Jeremiah Love brings, where it's like, I get it. Average backs are just right there, just right underneath Jeremiah Love, but any of them going to take it to the crib, going to get you a 30, 40, 50-yard touchdown 8 times a year.
I think if Jeremiah Love goes, he has to go to a competent offense. What I'm hearing is that the Titans are interested. What I'm hearing is that the Giants are interested. There's multiple teams that are interested.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's exactly what I've been kind of like marinating on the last couple months. Is that, I mean, we know this, and it's never changed. Explosive plays are the name of the game in the NFL, but how defenses are playing so top down. You can get those 4 to 6 yard gains a little bit easier now because that's what the defenses are wanting you to do. It's how much you can threaten those safeties, and that's threatening the safeties with the pass, which is unpin the grenade and chuck it over the top, or in the run game, hey, if the running back is getting to that safety at 8 yards, make him miss or threaten him to create that big play. And that's what Mike McDonald, the Seahawks, are the epitome of it. But even Fangio last year with the Eagles, the year before that, is that with that top-down stuff, they're daring you. Okay, we'll let you get 4, 5, 6 yards. Do it 10 times in a row now. Can you? No. Yeah. It's much easier to get a guy that either a quarterback like Drake May, or or the big quarterbacks right now, or a running back or a receiver that can take what should have been 3 yards and make it 13, or 5 yards and make it 50, because now that's 5 first downs that they just created on their own, rather than us having to stack 5 plays in a row. So I've kind of really, even guys, I'm a sucker for kind of the, I'm trying to think like a good comparison, like a good guy right now, but a guy that gets those 4 or 5 yard guys with great vision, but they run like a 4.61, like Alfred Morris. I'm like a sucker for those type of guys. But I've had to like kind of re-break that. Like maybe the guys with iffier vision, not Jeremiah Love, he has good vision, but like a guy like Kenneth Walker, iffy vision, but guess what? He takes that 4 yard gain, makes it 14, and those add up. So I'm right there with you. It's like that's the name of the game.
The more we talk about it, and I think Charlie and I have been like tiptoeing around this conversation, actually directly having this conversation for the last few weeks about like the shifting, in our view at least, the shifting value of off the ball linebackers and safeties
Mhm.
because of how all this connects. It's like if we get to a point, and it's all the points that you're making. It's like you want to be able to find a way to attack the safeties. And it's a position or attack the safeties or attack the linebackers. Feels like the way the best, most effective, smartest offenses are attacking them and threatening them in some sort of way, which it hasn't yet really translated to us respecting them in the draft and free agency, which it may speak to some of the things that you're saying. Maybe the average is high, but like we see what a safety. Like, of course, Kyle Hamilton comes to mind as the best safety in the league. And then we have like the big nickels and how they impact the game, and a healthy Fred Warner. Like having those guys who cannot be compromised, who teams are not looking to challenge, like it really changes the defense. It makes the defense so much better. It makes it so much more difficult to attack when the safety isn't just like an average guy that can be manipulated and taken advantage of. And the same thing for the off-ball linebackers.
Well, where are the weak points of a team running quarters or cover six? Where the weak points are, like over the middle of the field. They're going to try, offenses are going to try to run high lows.
Right.
So let's have players that can make those high lows a pain to go against. Right. For 10 years, the 2010s, everyone was running a single high because everyone wanted to try to be like the Seahawks. And then they realized, we don't have Bobby Wagner and Earl Thomas and Sherman and all world pass rushers. And we can't just run cover one and cover three every single snap. But then the strain got put on the corners.
I think what we're learning is that there is an increased value. If we're honest, there is an increased value in linebackers and safeties, because especially if you look at the Rams have just said, we don't care about linebackers. Like we look at their draft history. When is the last time the Rams drafted a linebacker in the first 3 rounds? They don't do it. They don't draft linebackers. So yeah, I mean, I think that's very, very important. And I think now there's going to be a shift on more linebacker play, in my opinion. There's going to be a shift on more linebacker play.
Because they are the ones that are in iso ball. They are the ones that are matched up one after another because the loaded boxes. So now when everyone's in too high, and I know I'm kind of like preaching to the choir of Dominique here, but you know this, but it's just when in too high, the strain becomes the spine. That means the defensive tackles have to win because they have to hold up in double teams because they have to keep the linebackers free. Now the linebacker puts more strain on him because he has to play high lows and he's going to get attacked in play action. Puts more strain on the safeties because they have to play two-way, up and back, up and back. So those positions become more important, and I think it's very fun to see kind of like where the scheme meta goes and then like what the personnel kind of responses to that right now are. So and I think this is a loaded linebacker class, probably since I've been scouting, the best linebacker class I've seen as far as off-ball players. So it's kind of cool that it's like right when the league desperately needs this, it's like, okay, here it comes. Like here comes some starters that actually might be some needle movement. I don't know. I think a pretty fun thing for where defenses are going right now.
And you're counting Reese as an edge though, right? In this loaded off-ball class, you would count Reese as an edge.
Edge, edge, and then that can do some off-ball stuff.
Yeah, him and Sonny were awesome off-ball, but like, I don't know. I'd put him at edge first just because that impact is so. I mean, it's the Michael Parsons model, right? Yeah.
Like in an older defense, like that's how I'm kind of picturing them. Like,
but this is Charlie and I talked about this also. Is like, are there like really 3-4 defenses that much anymore since people like stay in? Yeah, like
no.
So like
it's so hard to do that.
Right.
I know that's what's so hard. Even my old brain, like I know how I categorize guys. It's like it's not.
It'll be back. It all comes back. It'll be back. We just gotta wait 10 years. We'll have a league.
Then everybody will have a fullback.
Yeah, they'll have a nose tackle before 10 playing nose, jamming up the middle. It'll be back eventually.
It will. One day we'll get there.
Well, I mean, we talked a little bit about corners and nickels in that situation. I think that brings us to like probably the largest move,
and also connects to the draft. This is significant for the draft.
I mean, it's
the Trent McDuffie getting
Trent McDuffie. It's the biggest move so far in my view of the offseason. And
went to the Rams for pick 29.
Trent McDuffie, the All-Pro corner and nickel for the Chiefs, got traded to the Rams. I love the conversation from the Rams side, but I think first it just signals to me that the Chiefs are are not serious about winning a championship next year, and that not Jordan Love, that's the wrong Love, and Jeremiah Love they're not going to draft Jeremiah Love if he's still there at 9, which I'm not sure he will be, but
low key, that's a nice setup that Dominic has. I kind of like that setup. Maybe goals and dreams. Maybe that's the setup I want one day.
That's a move that to me suggests that they're trying to make a push and moving on, which they've done with Jerry Sneed. Like, they've moved on from corners in the past, but moving on from this particular one, who's so important to their defense, sounds to me like
Bergen.
Don't know Domino's $9.99 best deal ever? Just pick your crust. Maybe
pan pizza, gluten-free crust,
thin and crispy too. Load on up to 7 toppings like
bacon,
3 different types of cheeses,
green peppers,
and get it all for under $10. Only at Domino's.
What's kind of going? What's going on?
You set me up for some draft takes.
This is Dominic's hottest draft take. You got to just throw it out there.
Which guy?
So I got into the Kenyon Sadiq tape after.
I want y'all to listen to this because many of you are so high on Kenyon Sadiq, and all I want to say is that there are some differing opinions on Kenyon. That's all I'm saying. Different opinions on Kenyon.
He ran a 4.3, and I have to preface it because when I said it first to Charlie, he thought it was more shocking than I actually meant it to be. I saw his workout tape, and I started thinking, like, you can build an offense around this guy. And then I went back and watched the Oregon tape. And it was nah.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And so that's it. I was like, look at this man. Wow. 4.3.
And no one wears a uniform better.
Yeah.
It looks so cool.
Then I saw the highlights where he got on
the shoulders
little,
are like
the
bulging
little
out.
Fisher Price shoulder pads. And he's just I was like, oh my gosh, get him in the top 5. Then I went back and watched the tape. Oh, he's good.
Yeah, that's exactly how I've got about it. I really like him, but I try to be realistic about it.
I was watching him the same day that I was watching a lot of the pass rushers, and I was like, wonder if he could rush the passer. Look at all that explosion and athleticism. I wonder if he, I don't know. I might give him a couple snaps on dime, see if he could see what it's been looking like. But yeah, that
Can
was
you run
my
a game?
hottest draft.
Can you run a twist?
Yeah. I'm sure he could.
Let's see that TE.
I would love to see him try a hump move with those arms. I feel like I suspect that his arms are longer than Ruben Baines. He'll probably be all right, which also not a hot take, which I'm sure you could guess for me as a football guy. Give me Ruben Bain over Bailey, please. I'm sorry. I get the arm length stuff. Give me
play the run. Play the run.
There we go. Give me Reese over both of them, though. All right, Arvell Reese over both of them. If you're asking me to draft right now, I'm getting Reese first. He don't even play rush in, but I've seen him blitz enough that I'm like, all right, that guy is so powerful and so small, or not small, so powerful for his size and so athletic. I want him first. Then it's Ruben Bain, and then it's Bailey. But it seems like you agree.
I do. Bain to me is like Brandon Graham. I mean that in a very good way.
Right.
But just rugged. It's I don't know. We're seeing how the league is right now. You got to defend the run. It's like and I get going after the passer. That's what gets you paid. It gets you paid and everything. But for 20 snaps a game, if you're a target for opposing offenses, not that I'm saying Bailey's weak against the run, but I would say he's average, and he tries.
Yeah.
But average against the run in the Big 12 usually doesn't translate to good in the NFL.
Reese and Bailey scare me way more than Bain does because their ceiling is so high, but Ruben Bain is an absolute dog. The way that Ruben Bain attacks is he just keeps coming after you over and over and over and over and does not care.
So I kind of trying to be realistic with Bailey. I love the juice he brings, but I'm with Bain. I have Bain a little like they're tiered the same, but Bain slotted above for that reason because those are 20 snaps a game that he's going to be an impact player on. So I with Kenyon Sadiq, I refer to a Terp as my kind of comparison for him. Vernon Davis. Vernon was bigger, but same kind of speed where they're better on crossing routes and shot plays. You're not using them like Antonio Gates, where you're just peppering them with read routes and everything. It's more of a big play generator at tight end that can split out and maybe beat a slot and everything, as opposed to those guys that are running a full route tree. So I'm right there with you.
I will say I was surprised at I don't want to say how well Kenyon Sadiq blocked, because well isn't the word, but how committed he was to it, I guess would be the nice thing. It's like he fights, and which is enough if you assume that him on the field, the defense would be more likely to go to a nickel with him on the field. So you go 20, if you go 12 with Kenyon Sadiq, I'm going nickel on defense. So if I got a guy who fights and wants to and is that athletic and that big, and his matchup is a big corner or something like that, like I think that he could create advantages for you. I thought he was going to be so dynamic that he would break defenses, but he is dynamic enough and versatile enough that I think that he'd be a hell of a wrinkle that will require coaches to spend more time than they want to on that Monday of the week trying to figure out how they're going to address him on the field. So he's still an awesome player that still certainly should be a first rounder, but I don't think as high as Vernon ended up going. Vernon went like 5 or something.
5 or 6.
Yeah, and like that's like Bowers is a different animal
than
like Sadiq. Bowers is like Bowers is
a receiver.
In a pass catching room, he's one. Like that's where he'll be for the Raiders. Like where I think Sadiq will end up being like a high end 3 with with a couple of receivers. I mean, like that's how I picture it. But he's like a guy you design plays for, but it's just not one of those guys that you're going to pepper for 12 targets a game. It's more like, okay, 4 catches for 1 big play. Like that's kind of how I think his usage will be. But I'm glad you brought up the blocking because, again, snaps impacted. You can be in 12 and use him to. And
that is, I didn't catch that the first time he said that. So he's essentially saying, Nate Tice is essentially saying, and by the way, I've told y'all how I feel about Nate Tice. I'm very, very high on Nate Tice. But essentially, Nate Tice is saying that Sadiq would be a high-end 3. A high-end 3. You don't pepper him 12, 13 times a game. Yeah.
Some coaches, I'd say the Shanahan guys, are using those kind of like iffy size guys and putting them on the move with those zone blocks and everything. I think he could be like a real weapon on those. Tommy Tremble from the Panthers is kind of a similar build, but Sadiq is like a plus size version of that. But that's kind of who I envision how he kind of gets used like as a blocker.
That's the closest I'm going to get to besmirching anybody. However, when I was watching the pass rushers, I got sucked into watching a lot of tackles. The top tackles. There's one of them guys. Stop it right now. That's it. Just stop talking about them. Like I watched them. I'll text it to you. But the conversation.
You're such a players first guy. You can't say it.
I mean, I'm not going to on them because if I say what I saw, then it would be terrible. I'll say that
you had to after you've learned from your Josh Allen takes.
Yeah. I can't. No. I'm not worried. I am not worried. I'm not worried at all.
I love Dominique. I think he's really good. I also think the thing I like about Dominique is that Dominique has a legitimate personality, right? Like that's what I like about Dominique.
That this particular tackle is going to turn out to be an all-pro and I'll look silly. Not worried at all. The Josh Allen tape, I should have been smarter. Should have been more careful. But
which pass rusher were you watching? That's all I need.
I'm not going to let you reverse engineer it. I was watching Bailey.
Dang it.
I was watching Bailey.
Oh, okay. But, I know then.
Yeah, good. So I would say Vega, the guard for the Philly Lions. Yeah, I like him a lot. I like him.
Yep.
Well, so we can lean.
He's like one of those guys everyone's in lockstep about. Like everyone like grades him the same. Everyone has him. He's kind of like he checks him.
Everybody kind of freaked out. Everybody freaked out when Matthew Miller's, or maybe it was Jordan Reed. Was it Jordan Reed or Matthew Miller's came out and he talked about Vega to the Panthers? Look, I'm not saying we need to get a guard in the first round, but there could be way worse picks than him.
I feel like that when you have a guard who ends up on like that spot on big boards, it's usually like unless it's a Jonathan Cooper situation where he gets hurt immediately at the start of his NFL career, people are like, we usually get this one right because you're so far above your peers.
That's it.
So I mean, there are a couple other draft things that we could touch on before we hop back to free agency. Nate, have you seen that like both Matt Miller and Todd McShay have Jeremiah Love at number 1 on their board, and they're like, we understand the positional value of pass rushers and stuff, but we just think he's the best football player in the draft. Does that does that say more about the draft or about Jeremiah Love? And is there like a team that you think would make sense for him? Because it's a weird draft where there were like between 9 and 14, even I don't know if he'll be on the board at that point. There were like 5 teams that were near the top of Super Bowl odds last year that ended up in the top half of this first round.
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44. Guys, Nina just built an app.
Impossible. Nina can't code. Interesting. Can it generate reports?
It can now.
Nice. So you're saying we can all build apps now?
Yeah.
I'm on lunch. I gotta make a call.
I'll be in my office.
Just built an inventory tracker.
Protein calculator.
Book share an app. A workflow manager.
It's funny.
All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. We did an hour. I think we did some good stuff. There weren't as many people, but it's Sunday morning, right? People are at church. People are doing whatever they're doing on Sunday mornings. But I'll see y'all tomorrow morning. All right, bye.